It is another special and beautiful day, and I want to welcome you to OutNumbered on Oweleketv. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and you know what we do on OutNumbered. We bring to you the headlines for the day and do a little analysis on a big story. Well, I am not on the program as usual. I have Rachel Abuja here this morning once again.
Good morning, Ramsey. Good morning, viewers. Welcome to the show.
And also Michael Indigenes right here.
A beautiful morning, Ramson. Thanks, viewers, for staying with us.
All right, without wasting time now, I know a lot of people are itching to know what is happening because information is very vital. Let's quickly take you to the dailies and see what we have from the Guardian newspaper this morning. Directly below the header, I have this headline saying, dilapidated police barrack. 22 officers await relocation claims 7 months after quit notice. That you can find on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. All right, more still coming from the Guardian this morning. Ariwa Coalition alleges, this one, I don't know, but then they are alleging the crisis in Kano State to Tinubu, that Tinubu is responsible. I don't know how that came about, but then you will know that these people have their reasons why they say certain things. And that you can find on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And of course, I have another story right here from the Guardian newspaper. Tinubu threatens to shut public buildings, denying access to people with disabilities. Well, I think there are so many things to do. And it's one thing because it said he was coming in with what we call all-inclusive governance. Maybe he is considering the disabled. There is a lot of ability in disability. Okay, that you can find on page 3 of the paper. And finally, from the Guardian this morning, I have this headline saying IVF, Nigerian youth sell garments for survival. That is where we are at this point in time. Nigerian youths sell garments just to survive. All right, that's the much I will be taking from the Guardian newspaper this morning. Let's get to Rachel and see what we have from her end.
Okay, thank you, Ramsey. On the Punch newspaper says 346 billion naira voted for presidential jets, refreshments, others. 346 billion naira voted for refreshments and presidential jets. You can find that on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. It says airlines eyes $964 billion. Nigerian African carriers post losses. You can find that on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. The big story on the Punch says protesters storm National Assembly. Amnesty International threatens suit. That reaches 127. Still under that story says protesters condemn killings. United Nations urges military to protect civilians. PDP asks Tinubu to declare national mourning. Victims may demand 29 billion naira. You can find that on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Lastly, I'll be taking this story. Says Supreme Court, 11 justices scale NJC hurdles, await Tinubu's nod. Over to you, Michael.
All right, thank you. From the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning, as part of the big story, says Kaduna drone strike. Protesters storm National Assembly. PDP wants independent probe. Review rules of engagement. United Nations tells military. Many still missing as their tolls rises to 127. You're still having some stories surrounding the Kaduna strike, and of course, in as much as the military are trying to manage the situation, the United Nations are intervening, telling that they should actually review, the rules of this engagement with the military to know the experts and all of those people surrounding, the story behind this Kaduna drone strike. And still on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, NJC recommends Tisamani, Abiru, Sankey, and 8 others as Supreme Court justice. and Jesse, as the highest body for the screening of Supreme Court judges, have actually approved about 9 names for the Supreme Court. And of course, we are still appealing that these ones will actually bring justice to the judiciary system, as Nigeria are still facing a lot of injustice all over the place. Still in the Nigerian newspaper, as part of the story, Court of Appeal relocates Kogi Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal to Abuja. It seems Kogi are running to Abuja this time around for their tribunal. You understand the story that surrounded, the Kogi November 11 election. And now they are coming to Abuja. We don't know, because Abuja is not meant to have cases of tribunal. It's meant to actually happen at the state. But let's see if there won't be an influence of Abuja influence, as politicians will always have it, on that very tribunal judgment. Over to you, Ramson.
All right, thank you very much, Michael. I think we'll move to the Vanguard newspaper straight up. And from the Vanguard, we have this one saying, still talking about the justices. NJC okays 11 justices for Supreme Court, that you can find on page 8. Well, sometimes you will be tempted to ask questions like, all right, the appointment of these justices, will it, I don't know, would it really do justice to the situations on ground? That's the big question. All right, that you can find on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Then we have another big story here, still coming from the Vanguard, which says bombing error won't deter against terrorism. This one is coming from the defense minister. The bombing in Kaduna State still bringing out a lot of controversy. And of course, we have some riders to that story. The first rider says, UN deplores incident. That is the United Nations. Then the second rider to that story said, death toll rises to 127 and victims still recount their ordeals. Well, they are still going through a lot of pain. Then the third rider to that story says, PDP demands probe and compensation for the victims. I think it was one of the papers when Rachel was taking her headline. PDP is on top of this case because they feel these people should be compensated and not just being compensated. The victims, the issue, the situation, everything should be looked into. And finally, the writer that I have from that story here says, CSO seeks overhaul of security architecture in the country. All right. Architecture, security architecture. That's one big thing that should be looked into. And finally, the last story from the Vanguard newspaper this morning before I hand you over to Rachel says, stop tax waivers concession already granted to corporate entities. This one is coming from the Senate as they tell the federal government. Sometimes you think it is just the poor that pay taxes because almost anything you do, the tax is being deducted. But the big corporate organizations, are they really paying taxes? And what is the taxpayers' money being used for? These are some of the questions that will be coming up this very beautiful morning. All right. At this point in time, I don't know, but I think we will be going on a quick break. All right. And after this break, Rachel, Michael, and Ramsey has a very, we have a very big story that we want to talk about. So we will be back after this break. Don't go nowhere.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleke.tv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from that break. It is still Outnumbered live on your screen with Ramsey, Rachel, and Michael. This morning, we want to talk about one big story. This one is not just a big story, but very big story. If you are around Nigeria, you will be aware of what happened at the National Assembly yesterday. There was a protest that ensued. And this protest was actually carried out by civil society organizations and some Indigenes of FCT in their numbers. What are they protesting? That Wike should resign. You already know who Wike is. Of course, I'm talking about the Minister of FCT. He's the Minister of FCT right now, and they have said some of the things he's doing is not in line with what they expected of him. And those things will not lead to the development of the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory. We have a video to that effect. Let's watch the video. When we return, we will add our voice to the conversation and open up certain things that you may not know, and you can always stand by so that you can drop your own comment at the comment section too.
Nigerians stand united that Wike must go. He is an unnecessary distraction in the FCT. But President Bola Tinubu must remove Wike as Minister of FCT. He's bringing unnecessary distraction to the government. We as responsible citizens, we cannot accept this kind of uncouth, indecorous person to continue to pilot the affairs of FCT. His actions are avoidably controversial and hurting, and his diction has been foul, combative, and condescending, as if he is a deliberate punishment sent to the people of the Federal Capital Territory by President Tinubu. Nyesom Wike's alleged penchant for land grabbing and cronyism has begun to emerge, as some of the land reforms are suspected to be targeted at dispossessing Nigerians of their properties and reacquiring them through cronies. There is tension in the FCT today under the brutal and sometimes criminal Wike is coming menace. His recent clash with the governor of Rivers State, Sasim Similaye Puvara, isn't just a mere political disagreement, but a display of dirty politics that has no place in a civilized society. Wike's preoccupation with personal vendetta has diverted his attention from his primary responsibility, neglecting the critical objectives set by the federal government for the FCT. Wike's high-handedness in land policies, the revocation of lands, perceived animosity towards a particular section of the country, and the alarming manner in which lands are allocated reeks of high-level corruption. It is evident that the action of Mr. Wike do not align with the government agenda for reforms and development in the FCT. Mr. Wike's tactics, reminiscent of an emperor, which is exhibited during his tenure as governor of Rivers State. And these are detrimental to the progress and growth we seek for our FCT and the nation at large. Furthermore, Wike's disregard for decorum in media address and his reckless remarks without considering their implications on the administration are not befitting of a public officer, office holder. His lack of accountability and administrative failures are evident that his actions threaten to cause irreparable harm to the administration credibility. Therefore, we, the network of civil society for economic sustainability, call on President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to take decisive action to contain the excesses of Mr. Nyesom Wike. It is in the best interest of our nation that Mr. Wike's disruptive tendencies are addressed promptly to safeguard the integrity of this administration and ensure that the objectives set for the FCT are pursued diligently and without any distractions from any quarters. Let us stand together in this call for accountability and responsible governance. Our nation deserves leaders who prioritize the public interest over personal agenda. Thank you very much. Aluta continua. Wike must go.
Welcome back from that little timeout. You've watched the video already. You've seen how it all went down. That is just a part of everything that went down. That's not everything. And there is a reason why this actually happened. As a matter of fact, Adamu, who was the convener of this protest, has advanced reasons why this actually happened. They've said the Minister of FCT is not sensitive to the plight of the people. And they have said he is making life more difficult for the people than they expected. As a matter of fact, the minister is supposed to be someone that will bring succor to the plight of the people. But reverse is the case. And they have said, well, Wike, on your own, just resign. Resign. And that's the reason they are protesting. And the protest was taken to the National Assembly, where decisions are being made. What do you think the National Assembly will do about this? And the reasons they've advanced so far, do you see the reasons cogent enough, all right, to remove Wike from the office of the Minister of FCT? First of all, you need to look at the antecedents that brought Wike into office. The president came into office and he said he was going to run an all-inclusive governance, all right? And of course, he brought in technocrats, he brought in people from the other party, and Wike inclusive. Wike is a strong member of the PDP, but now in the administration of APC. I could remember there was a time he was told that he was doing an anti-party, and he objected to it. And today, he is the Minister of FCT, and the people that he is their minister are the ones crying right now. Look at the time frame that he came into office, not too long. And they are saying Wike is making the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu difficult for the people. What do you think about this protest? Is this the right time that this protest should come? And the reasons they've advanced so far, do you see it? Is it reasonable enough? The reasons, are they reasonable enough?
Okay, to begin with, first of all, I wouldn't want to say it is Wike who is making the administration of Tinubu difficult, because it has been difficult right from day one Tinubu came into place. So I can just say he maybe added to the whole thing. You know, he contributed, but he didn't make this, you know, he didn't make his administration, or he's not making his administration difficult. It has been difficult right from day one.
So he's adding to it.
He's adding to it. So there's something I want to say, which is, if maybe we're in a sane country where when people come out to protest, the government listens to them, I'll say, okay, maybe this may work. But if you like, go and lie down in front of Tinubu and tell him, please, sir, we don't want this, we don't want that in Nigeria. Nothing will change. You know, Nigerians have been crying, people have been dying, so many things have been happening. And even the people who claim to want to bring change, they will come with their own kind of change. I'm at the point I started thinking maybe there's a different meaning of change, you know, or maybe what's in the other side of change. So protest does not work in Nigeria. Going on strike does not work in Nigeria. It will only even worsen the situation, because when you go on strike or when you go out for protest, they call the leaders of these groups, and then they tip you. They do whatever they do, you know, behind camera, closed door. And when they come out, they'll say, okay, let's now come back and everything. So all these things does not work in Nigeria, you know. But even though it's necessary, so that at least people will know, oh, these people are coming together to cry out. But we know it does not work. And let me talk about Wike's issue. I think some of the points these people gave are, you know, valid. I saw a banner they held. I'm sure you saw it too in the video, where they said Wike swore never to accept resignation from Tinubu. But here we are. Tinubu is, you know, Wike is here now. He accepted. He even said he wanted it. He wanted the FCT, and he has it. Now, someone was telling me something before we came on set. Said C of O is now 5 million naira.
Yeah, 5 million. He said it. And
I didn't know. I just heard it. You know, while we're talking about all of this, and then 5 million naira, and this was something that was not even close to a million naira. It was not even close to 500,000 naira before, but now it's 5 million naira. And then we're beginning to think, what exactly are these politicians? What are they trying to do? Is it like an intentional act to just push Nigerians into poverty? Is it an intentional act? Okay, we're talking about demolition, and someone said, okay, demolition, what is, houses is demolition are illegal structures. But we have politicians in this country who have illegal structures everywhere. You go to some places, there are traffic, vehicles cannot move. Why? Because we have big plazas, we have buildings, and these plazas cannot go down. Why? Because it belongs to one governor, it belongs to one minister, and you cannot dare talk about it. But then you see people who are managing their lives. They just built one small room somewhere, and you say it's illegal structure. You demolish it, no compensation, no nothing. Ever since we came over here, demolition has been and he said he's threatening Lugbe, this place, that place, almost everywhere in Abuja, they want to demolish. Now, if you demolish, what are you giving these people? What compensation? Even if it's illegal structure. We're not talking about the politicians who has buildings in so many illegal places we should not even start mentioning now. We're not looking at those places. You see traffic everywhere. No one is talking about it. You see roads. You know, go to the FCT. You see so many things wrong. In the Federal Capital Territory, you see where they are disposing, you see dumped areas everywhere by the roadside. You see the way, you see touts everywhere. No one is talking about these things, but you want to demolish places where poor Nigerians are living. You increase CO. Also, people can no longer buy lands in Abuja. Someone who, an average Nigerian cannot say, oh, I'm working, okay, I have a beautiful family, I have my car, and I have my house in Abuja. No, because they can no longer afford to get a land. I think it's high time. Like I said, protest does not work in Nigeria. So even when we come out to cry and to shout and everything, it will still not work. That's just the unfortunate aspect of this whole thing. If maybe it works, okay, I'll say fine. What they are doing here is they've come out to do the right thing. But the truth is, I don't want to call it waste of time. I don't want to call it waste of energy. But these things does not work in Nigeria. But it's time. And the thing, what is even paining me is when we say the government should look into it. These are still the government. So which government is going to look into which government? When we say government, please look into this issue. Look into Wike's administration and look into what? They are still the government. You cannot tell them to look into themselves. When they are the gbogbo of the gbogbo.
They were the ones that even appointed these people to the office.
They are the ones who appointed themselves.
Okay.
So what are we talking about?
Look at the issue of Wike now. You said something. Can the president remove Wike right now?
That's a big question.
Looking at the way he came in.
That's a big question.
That's another question. Can he be removed? They are saying Wike should resign on his own. The Wike that I know, will he resign on his own? Is it possible for Wike to resign on his own? The people are crying. And every time I give it to Sarah will always go to court. Will go to court. But then, going to court, even if you go to court, who is there? Look at what just happened after the election. All the tribunal cases, how did it end? So sometimes, see, I don't know, but like Rachel said, you cry. They are beating you. You are crying, and they will still keep beating you. Why? We need to do something. I think the international body needs to come into this situation now because it is getting out of hand. But they said the FCT is not for the poor. That's what they keep saying. But if everybody vacate FCT today, can the rich alone run the affairs of the Federal Capital Territory? Why is it Federal Capital Territory? Because it is supposed to be a home for all. But then, look at where we are today.
I'm really thinking that Wike should understand that this is not Rivers State.
Exactly.
This is a man that when he was a governor, you know, he did all he could. I give it to him. He's a developmental man. You know, he's a man of projects. I give it to him when it has to do with
they called him Mr. Project,
doing projects and all of that. But he should understand that this is not Rivers State. As you said, this is a Federal Capital Territory. People coming from all walks of life in Nigeria to come live here. You know, it's becoming so powerful than the presidency. It's becoming so powerful than the presidency
himself now.
So this is a man that, you know, the president, if you watch his body language when he's in events with the president, you see a president giving a Wike special recognition. I mean, minister, special recognition. You will say my landlord. President is a man that the president is calling my landlord. So a man who just came into minister, not just, he's not even up to a year. He's not becoming a landlord of Abuja. He first to understand that they are indigenous people of the FCT. So when you see these guys going out to protest, it's a signal to Wike that, see, this is not Rivers State. It is high time you begin to sit up to understand that, you know, we have Muslims, we have Christians, we have Hausas, we have all of these people coming together to live in this FCT. So you go about demolition of, we don't have issues with you destroying illegal houses. Fine, you want to give Abuja, you know, the blueprint of Abuja and all of those languages that they keep on speaking. But the truth is that the process of going about it, you don't just go to, you know, demolish houses. What about the compensation? What about the things need to be done before they can actually get to this point?
These people are not even compensated.
Imagine someone who has maybe a 2-bedroom apartment and then all of a sudden you don't have anything again. You don't have a house. you don't have anywhere to live, and you're just
it's worrisome, and of course we are actually joining a voice with those who protest that, you know, even when the president cannot take action, even when you are bigger than the presidency, it is time you understand that this is not Rivers State. Have that at the back of your mind. Every of your decision, know that this is not Rivers State. You come to a point where you cannot even enter the street of Abuja. I'm telling you the truth. The way it's going, everyone will blow. I mean, Wike cannot even enter the street of Abuja. So you need to sit up.
And as a minister, it is not very good for you to do things that will make the people hate you. As a leader is supposed to even be a servant. A leader is meant to serve.
Be compassionate.
Be compassionate. You are here
pride,
because of the people.
The pride and arrogance is too much.
Imagine what he wanted to do in Rivers State. If not that Fubara was very strong. You are no longer in Rivers State. You are no longer the governor of Rivers State. But you want to be the minister of FCT, then you'll be running things in Rivers State. And Fubara said, no, never. And we could remember what happened. We shouldn't wait for a repeat of what happened in Rivers State to happen in Abuja. Abuja is for everyone. If you want to say, okay, there are shanties that should be demolished, we understand these are shanties where some people hide, all right, to commit crimes. That is understood.
But Ramsey, let me tell you something. You see this crime that was saying, okay, demolish so that you chase these people away. This crime will increase. Why? They're talking about banning keke napep in Abuja. Some places where
it's banned in some places already.
Now, okay, so you're banning keke. What are you giving these people in exchange of that thing? Because someone is working, someone who does not have a job, who does not have anything, and he goes hungry for days. It's just natural for him to start thinking of ways to survive. And now this person now has a keke napep to start making money, and now you want to take away that thing from him. What are you giving that person in exchange for that thing you've taken away from him? Because now you're not giving him anything. The truth is this thing will increase, because out of maybe let's say 100 persons, if 10 can be reasonable to say, I'm not going to steal to survive, I'm not going to do any evil thing to survive, how about the other persons, the other 90 persons? They will think of ways to survive, and crime will increase in Abuja, whether they like it or not. So it's not about just saying we want to do this, enacting laws, don't do this, don't do that. Are you thinking about how these people will survive? That should be the question. You don't just come and say, well, demolishing houses or banning keke napeps. Now, if you demolish houses and people start sleeping on the streets, ladies start going into prostitution because they just want to be able to have money to hide their heads somewhere. Men start going into armed robbery and everything. Are you saying you've helped Nigerians?
That is multiplication of crime.
Exactly, or you've helped Abuja.
That will make the crime multiply the more. So, as it is, the president, we are calling on the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the minister himself, we are calling him to order. Because if this protest escalates beyond the stage it is right now, in fact, it's going to cause a lot of other problems. And if you want to do anything in FCT, you should remember that the FCT is supposed to be for people coming from different states of the nation as a federal capital territory to find shelter, to look for something to do. Being a minister, you are supposed to oversee the affairs, the smooth running of the federal capital territory, and not to do anything that is detrimental to the plight of the people. The people are facing so much already. When fuel subsidy was removed, you know what is happening. You know what happened and what is still happening. Nothing has been done. Then you are increasing the pain of the people. We are calling on the National Assembly to wade into this situation so that this doesn't escalate beyond the stage it is right now. Finally, before we bring the program to an end, Rachel, what's your last word for the people of FCT, the federal government, Wike, the Minister of FCT, and the President himself?
Okay, so like I said earlier, you can't tell the government to look into themselves. So I think it's high time these people just calm down, and even if it's out of the whatever billion of naira you have, okay, let me just pity these people and give them something. Because I think it's high time the government, calm down. Wike, calm down. This is not Rivers State. Look into how you can help Nigerians. Don't take their means of livelihood from them. You want to take the means of livelihood from Abuja residents, then it won't be easy for you staying in Abuja as well. Because now you are in Abuja. Maybe they not do something for your house. If you take something away from these guys, they will look for you.
Because this is not Rivers
This is not Rivers State. This is Abuja.
All right, that is that from Rachel. Let's get to Michael. Michael, what would you have to say?
Yeah. Mine is very simple. You know, the people of Abuja have been very law-abiding. You know, it has always been a very peaceful federal capital territory. So, Wike, as you're coming, I keep, as I said earlier, you know, Abuja no be Rivers. So, do all what you can to keep and sustain the peace you came to see in FCT. That's my final words.
All right, thank you for being part of Outnumbered today. You've heard, and I know you may want to say one or two things too, reacting to the situation on ground. You can do that by commenting, all right, below this video so that we can also know what your opinions and your take is. Thank you very much. We'll see you again. It's been Ramsey, Rachel, and Michael on Outnumbered. We'll come your way again same time tomorrow. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye for now.